Look, the purpose of college is not just, as I said before, to transmit skills. It's also to widen your horizons, to make you a better citizen, to help you to evaluate information, to help you make your way through the world, to help you be more creative. The way to do that is to create a space where a lot of ideas are presented and collide, and people are having arguments, and people are testing each other's theories, and over time, people learn from each other because they're getting out of their own narrow point of view and having a broader point of view. So Arnie, I'm sure, has the same experience that I did, which is when I went to college, suddenly there were some folks who didn't think at all like me. And if I had an opinion about something, they'd look at me and say, well, that's stupid. And then they'd describe how they saw the world. And they might have had a different sense of politics, or they might have a different view about poverty, or they might have a different perspective on race. And sometimes their views would be infuriating to me. But it was because there was this space where you could interact with people who didn't agree with you and had different backgrounds than you, that I then started testing my own assumptions. And sometimes I changed my mind. Sometimes I realized, you know what, maybe I've been too narrow-minded. Maybe I didn't take this into account. Maybe I should see this person's perspective. So that's what college, in part, is all about. The idea that you'd have somebody in government making a decision about what you should think ahead of time or what you should be taught, and if it's not the right thought or idea or perspective or philosophy, that person would be, that they wouldn't get funding, runs contrary to everything we believe about education. I mean, I guess that might work in the Soviet Union, but it doesn't work here.
This is hurting everyone's opportunities, this urge to censor. I mean, we don't have free speech, really, to protect powerful white conservatives. We have it to protect everyone, including minority voices, arch-liberal, radical people on campuses. I mean, these are the kinds of people that administrative dictates to shut down radical activity have historically hurt the most. So we need robust institutions of academic freedom and free speech on campuses to protect everyone's voices, including the students here who want to shut down the newspaper.
2013 to 2014 academic year is when this all begins to happen. The campus invitations, the words trigger warning and safe space, they barely exist before 2012, but by 2014 they're everywhere. And this is why when Greg Lukianoff, who's the president of the Foundation for Individual Rights in Education, when he came to me in the summer of 2014 with his diagnosis that, you know, John, this weirdness going on campus, it's exactly the errors that I learned about in cognitive therapy. Like, campus is teaching undergraduates to think in the exact distorted ways that cognitive therapy teaches you not to do, like catastrophizing, mind reading, all those sorts of things. And so I was so busy. I was saying no to everything. But when Greg came to me after my own experiences, I said, oh my God, Greg, this is brilliant. This is what's going on. So that's what led to he and I writing this article that was published in The Atlantic last August. And it was, and we had no idea campuses were going to melt down beginning at Halloween at Yale, Missouri, so many other schools. So a very strange thing is happening, and I think it's so I mean, it's horrible because it basically has put a chill on free speech. Everyone is afraid of saying anything that will set off the most sensitive student in the class. Professors all over the country are scrubbing their syllabi clean. We're not showing videos that could provoke. We're not saying things. So education is taking a nosedive in this country because everyone's afraid of a big social media storm or being charged with marginalizing.
The exception is because other people have rights too, not just you.
Walk away. Walk away. Inappropriately deserves to be listened to. It doesn't deserve to be listened to. Unsafe space here. We're all
I deny.
Be quiet. for all Stillman students. You understand that? As your position as master, it is your job to create a place of comfort and home for the students that live in Stillman. You have not done that. By sending out that email, that goes against your position as master. Do you understand that? Then
No, I don't agree with that.
Then why the fuck did you accept the position?
Because
Who
I have
the
a
fuck hired you?
I have a different
You
vision
should
than you.
step down. If that is what you think about being a master, you should step down. It is not about creating an intellectual space. It is not. Do you understand that? It's about creating a home here. You are not doing that.
You're supposed to be
going
our
against
advocate.
that. You should be at the event last night when you hear a Franco say that she doesn't know how to create a safe space for her freshmen in Stillman. How do you explain that? These freshmen come here, they think this is what Yale is? Do you hear that? They're gonna leave, they're gonna transfer because you are a poor steward of this community. You should not sleep at night. We're out, we out. You are disgusting.
But I want to start by giving an example of something that I heard on the radio 2 years ago, and I tweeted it earlier tonight. Jared Diamond wrote a book called The World Until Yesterday. Have any of you heard of it? It's about what we can learn from traditional societies, and he spent time living with a tribe in Papua New Guinea. And a lot of it was about how they respect their elders, and they have all these great things we could learn from them. But Bridget Kendall asked in the program, but what about women? And he said, well, I often teach the stuff that I put in my books, and the thing is, most traditional societies treat women as subservient, really badly. And my female students got so upset and angry, they couldn't believe it, that I decided not to have a chapter on it. So he left out a whole chapter, he left out a whole gender in his book on what we can learn from traditional societies.
Conservatives rarely praise the leaders of higher education these days, but they are giving top grades tonight to the University of Chicago over what appears to be a declaration of war on political correctness. Chief Washington correspondent James Rosen reports.
As if parting the heavens, this mild-looking academician, Jay Ellison, Dean of Students at the University of Chicago, has struck what champions of free speech on college campuses regard as the biggest blow of the decade against the stifling effect of political correctness run amok. In a letter to the class of 2020, Ellison touted the university's commitment to academic diversity, warning freshmen rigorous debate, discussion, and even disagreement may challenge you and even cause discomfort. In an era when liberal students across the country have sought and received the creation of safe spaces, zones where they can be shielded from ideas they regard as hurtful to their psyche, and demanded trigger warnings, advance notice from professors when their curricula could prompt an adverse emotional response, the Ellison letter served notice that the University of Chicago isn't having any of it. We do not support so-called trigger warnings. We do not cancel invited speakers because their topics might prove controversial, and we do not condone the creation of intellectual safe spaces where individuals can retreat from ideas and perspectives at odds with their own.
This is actually one of the best steps I've seen a university take to say, you know what, this is, education, if done right, is actually going to be uncomfortable. University of Chicago has been leading the way when it comes to academic freedom and free speech, and I think every school in the country should adopt the University of Chicago principles.
The empire of academia strikes back, however. Michael Roth, president of Wesleyan University, the alma mater of one Hillary Rodham, told the New York Times the Ellison letter was a publicity stunt designed to, quote, coddle donors. And writing at the Daily Beast, Dr. Jay Michelson, a rabbi and LGBT activist who teaches at the Chicago Theological Seminary, accused Ellison of suppressing free speech in the name of free speech.
Instead of saying we don't believe in safe zones, he's actually creating a safe zone, and that's a safe zone for racism, homophobia, sexism on his college campus.
Administrators at the University of Chicago said their embrace of free speech does not confer on anyone the freedom to threaten or harass, and they pointed out that professors there retain, quote, broad freedom in how they address concerns their students may have about the curriculum. Brett.
James, thank you.
There's an important distinction to be made here between the several different forms that safe spaces might take. The argument against safe spaces on college campuses and the way we wish to present and address is an argument against safe spaces as college campuses. That is, public places and classrooms on campus in which students, besides those seeking a safe space, are forced to adhere to the rules. This does not mean that safe spaces do not or should not exist. Many people who find safe spaces detrimental to education would believe that the creation of a private space is not necessarily an issue. If you are part of a club and you reserve a classroom on campus to have your meeting in, that's a safe space. If you aren't in the club, you shouldn't be there. A simple example of this is Greek organizations. Because membership is usually based on qualification rather than an open opportunity to join like many campus clubs have, such as GPA, full-time student status, and a bid from the fraternity or sorority based on the values they see in your conduct and character in accordance with their creed, if you don't receive an invitation to join and go through whatever process they require in order to be a fully initiated member, you have no right to go to their chapter meetings. This is a safe space, and it does not violate the rights of others who have no desire to be involved with that organization.